it's do or die. I think Eddie Jones is gone if they lose this game.
Seriously?
Show's over. Well, we go back to Australia.
He keeps saying 2027 World Cup.
I can't see, the run of results being accepted by Australia. I don't know. Again, Matt would know more about this, but there's so much pressure there. He's now, on his departure to the World Cup, he's fighting with journalists. I know it's a difficult job, and there's a, funny enough, it's kind of, he comes across as the bad guy at times, but he's actually a very nice guy. If you met Eddie Jones and you asked him to, sign something or chat to someone on the phone or do something, I'm not saying that I've done that, but he's always been into his mind games and throwing little barbs out before matches. You remember Johnny Sexton comments a couple of years ago, that he was concerned for his health because he had head knocks, and then he was talking about Ireland kicking the most in the Six Nations, where they're boring to watch, they've no option. It was proven that the stats that Ireland weren't a team that kicked the ball most in Six Nations. But anyway, he throws stuff out there, always has done. It's kind of backfiring on you when the problem you have, if you, even in general, if you kind of are slagging people and having a cut off people in sport or life, if things go bad for you, then people disappear a little bit. So he's lost a little bit of support and that bit of goodwill, which adds to the pressure. But the plan was here that Australia were going to be ready for a World Cup and they were going to be real candidates. And like I said, 10, 11 months ago, I would have put Australia down as dark horses, given the quality of player that's available to them. But we're not seeing it on the field.
Matt, do you agree with Alan there? If they lose in
They
Wales
absolutely
or in
are.
Lyon against Wales, is he gone?
Well, he'll finish out the World Cup, I'd say. But I think after the World Cup, there'd be a massive review, and I don't know if he'll survive the onslaught of criticism that will follow.
I think it's a very fair statement from Alan. Yes, it's a very, very fair statement from Alan. So you look, if they said that Dave Rennie, like the team just lost to Ireland, played very well against France. He picked a second team against Italy and they lost by a point. And the whole point of picking the second team was you've got to develop. So if you don't give the guys a run before a World Cup, what do you do? And Dave Rennie was a very nice guy, and I thought he was very, very hardly done by. Because I agree with Alan. The way the draw was, I thought Australia have a really good path to a semi. They then sack him. That's Dave Rennie. Bring in Eddie, because Eddie has a very high profile. And as Alan says, he's an entertaining guy. And he's a smart guy, and he comes in. And he was front page of every paper, on every news, been on podcasts. He's in rugby league, he's in AFL, and he's talking it up. We're going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that's what he had to do. That's what he was employed to do. That's what the media marketing department of the Australian Rugby wanted him to do. And he did it, and he did it brilliantly. The trouble is they then lose to Argentina, South Africa, New Zealand, and now Wales, Fiji. So if you talk the talk and you don't walk the talk, you're in trouble. And I have no doubt that he's in deep, deep trouble, because when you say we're going to do this and I'm going to do that and we're great, and then you leave out one of Australia's most iconic players in the last 20 years in Michael Hooper, great leader who is one of the only players in Australia that is recognisable worldwide and is an inspirational person, and then you don't perform, you're under question because they're your decisions. When you're picking a young 10, you've had 3 games in the championship and you pick a new 10 and you don't pick anyone else, and you pick a new fullback and you don't pick anyone else, and it all comes back and bites you on the backside. Yeah, Eddie is responsible. He said he is responsible, and I admire him for that. And I also admire him for congratulating Fiji straight away, which he did, so let's give him credit. He said, I am taking full responsibility for this. Therefore, if he's taking full responsibility for it, at the end of this tournament, it's going to be really, really hard for him. I don't believe in sacking coaches willy-nilly, and I also don't think it's healthy for Australian rugby to go change. I know it's not for anyone. Look at what happened to England when they got rid of Eddie. It hasn't worked for anyone when they've done it. All the countries that are doing well have great forward planning and sequences of coaches coming in. Assistant coaches becoming head coaches. Galtier was at the last World Cup before becoming head coach. Andy Farrell before becoming head coach, stepping through. Foster in New Zealand before coming through. Now, it hasn't worked as great for Foster, but you can't say New Zealand are a disaster. So Australia has had no forward projection of their coaching for many, many, many years. And that's where the Kiwis have come in, and they've been great Kiwis, but it hasn't worked. So, again, it's not just one thing with Australian rugby. It's not just, okay, if we do this, it'll fix it. It is on multiple layers that we have to do this. Our high-performance department, our relationship between the super teams coming up into the top, our coaching at all levels, and our national coaching at all levels, and meaning assistant coaches, complete new staff. All of that hasn't worked. So how you review that and how you then make positive plans, because the next World Cup's in Australia and they have to get it right for that, financially, for the growth of the game and so on, that is a very, very big issue.